Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 is directed by Kevin Costner and stars Costner, Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Luke Wilson, and among others. And this story, it is set in the 1860s, where you have different storylines going on at once, and I'm not going to really go into every detail, but let's just say that it involves with Western Apache, a crime type of family, settlers, and a group of posse that are going after the Western Apache and everything. And then you also have Kevin Costner's character, who's on his way to Horizon as well, and comes across this prostitute that he tags along with after that evolves with her and her child in danger and everything. And I'll leave it there because there's some other spoilers I can't get into detail, but essentially they all this is coming together for them to go on a journey to get to Horizon. And there's different storylines intertwined at once as well. Now, here's a little backstory. Now, this movie was directed by Kevin Costner, who, what can I say? He's always been one of my favorite actors growing up, and while I haven't seen much of his films that he's directed, I did finally get a chance to fully watch Dance with Wolves the other day, and I gotta say that I really admire him as a director. I think that he really holds his ground as far as being able to direct westerns, and I've heard a lot of great things about Open Range as well that I'll definitely check out someday. But seeing how he's also starred in his handful of westerns, like in Silverado, that from what I've heard, and also other ones like Wyatt Earp, and also also Yellowstone. It's no surprise that this was definitely a passion project Costner really wanted to do, because between the time that he was doing Yellowstone, he decided to do something that just came to mind with him, of trying to tell the American West story, and with basically a town that was known as Horizon. And he wanted to do, in a way, it was basically like his version of doing like a big budgeted type of theatrical experience that was in the form of, that was like a television type of series but structured as a movie, which I get the idea of what him wanting to do something like this, because I really do miss these type of epic westerns that used to come out like this, like, movies that used to come out back in the day, like Heaven's Gate, and some other ones that I've heard that really, come to mind from the old days of westerns and stuff. And I love the genre a lot. I mean, there could be some hit and miss ones, and it can be cliche with a lot of stuff that we've seen countless times with, and the genre may not do too well in theaters that much anymore, but whenever it comes on, I do still get interested in these kind of movies that come out, whether it's either a remake or whether it's just something that just piques my interest, And then going into the trailers of this, it got me really interested, because with him trying to basically split this up into, well, for now, 2 films, with this one being out, and then also part 2 coming out later, it really got me interested in what he was trying to do with this story, and a lot of the cast really got me excited as well with this, especially with a lot of different character actors that he regularly uses in his other fellow films, his other fellow character actors that he's worked with in other films, like Michael Rooker and Will Patton, all them. So going in, after upon seeing the film, I can say that I do like this movie, but this is going to be a hard movie to really judge, because with Costner wanting to basically do this as potentially as a 4-part movie series, I can see this one being feeling incomplete, because there's a lot of stuff that it's really building itself more up to, and hopefully it does have a lot more payoff as it comes along, especially when we get to part 2 and onward. But I will say that for the first part, I did enjoy it, but there are some things that do kind of hold it back from being great, because it does have some problems, but I still will give it a lot of respect with it being it goes for a very old school type of classic western that I do miss, especially going to theaters. And it's definitely the one that I'm glad I saw with my parents, because my parents definitely do love this genre, and I do enjoy it as well. And these are the perfect kind of movies that I love to watch with my dad and my mom. And so, to get my pros out of the way, what can I say? The cast in this are all phenomenal. Sienna Miller, I've really enjoyed her in other films that she's done, especially American Sniper and stuff like that. She definitely has about as equal screen time with the other group, especially with Costner and Sam Worthington throughout the film. And her storyline that involves with her dealing with her daughter, that she goes through with her daughter or anything, I found it very captivating and emotional at times. And she certainly holds her all with her scenes with Sam Worthington and the way that it plays out. Dealing with, not going to spoilers, but dealing with grief and loss and everything. And it comes in a really good play with her character. And I really it's great to see Sam Worthington again. I really admire him as an actor, and seeing him from the Avatar films and everything. It's different this time because it seems like this is finally the film where he's able to actually work in a good way of hiding his Australian accent. Because in this one, I couldn't tell that he was actually playing it, was using his real voice at times. It just sounded so really good that he was able to really keep it very hidden at this time. Because I've seen a lot of movies where Sam Worthington always has his Australian accent slip out a lot. But movies like this and Hacksaw Ridge, it shows that he's able to really, keep it where he's a lot more quieter at times and keep it very subdued. And he really pulls it off in this one because he's also trying to be that kind of his character is trying to go through with having his own moral code that doesn't please his officer, played by Danny Houston, another great performance as well. And so there's more to it that I'm sure they're going to build up to, but the stuff that it deals with him and his cavalry and everything, I thought was interesting, and definitely seeing how it plays out with his romance with Sienna Miller's character. And then the rest of the cast, what else can I say? There's also got Luke Wilson. I always enjoy as an actor. It's great seeing him back on the big screen in a movie like this, where he plays the guy that's following from Santa Fe to the horizon with these wagon trains that he's on, and he's trying to. He has a very kind of commanding presence in this, where he's keeping these people in line and stuff on trying to, not give their water and to share their water and everything like that, And he actually has a couple of funny parts that I thought was really funny. He has a couple of parts I thought were funny too, especially the way that he's talking to this British couple and all that. And so he was great. And the way that it also plays into with him having to have this kind of conflict involving with the British couple, I think it really makes me wonder where it's going to lead to in that regard, because there's also some other stuff that comes into play later that has to do with the couple, and I could he starts out as kind of like a kind of a dick, but I could see him really kind of have that moral ground where he may potentially have to trust the people that he's going on the journey with and everything. And so he was great. And then the other ones that were surprised enough, the biggest standouts was definitely Jeff Fahey. I thought not only was he really intense as fuck in one scene that involves in this store, I'm not going to spoil anything, but essentially he plays this leader of this posse that are going after the Western Apache group. And it just, I was on the edge of my seat the way it was playing out in this scene that involves with him. It basically has to deal with him in trying to get a draw that's going on between these two people that are there, and I really got a kick out of this character. And man, he was anytime I see Jeff Fahey, it's just always great seeing him and stuff, whether it's this or in movies like Machete and stuff. The guy just always has the really great on-screen persona. And then I can go more and more with the cast, but pretty much everyone in this movie does a really great job. And Costner himself is also good, but he actually doesn't come into play until probably about an hour into the film, because the movie is definitely more of an ensemble piece. When he is on screen, though, he's great, and I really enjoy the way that he does a lot of his quick draw, where he is very, kind of mysterious, and he has that kind of vibe where you don't really know much about him. So I'm curious to see, to know a little bit, to see where it really goes with his character, or the way it plays out, because he definitely has a mystery type of vibe that I got myself really invested in. And also his quick draw and everything was also badass too in one part. And then the other biggest scene still the most, surprisingly, is Jamie Campbell from Stranger Things, who played Vecna. I thought he was not only intimidating as fuck, especially in one part that involves with him, and because he plays the guy that's basically of this crime type of family that are going after the Marigold, the prostitute that I mentioned earlier. He definitely still has that intimidating presence that I enjoyed him with from Stranger Things, and here I wanted to see more with him, but for the little that he is on screen, he is definitely great. So there's that. And then what can I say about the production design? Costner really knows how to make it look like the American West in a lot of scenes, with everything very top notch and very definitely seeing the money on screen of everything that's happening, with a lot of the view of the mountains and things like that, and then the time setting with everything looking that very authentic looking Western feel. It's very top notch. And then talk about brutality, because this movie doesn't hold back on a lot of stuff that gets me really intense, especially about the first 30 minutes or so, when the stuff goes down, and then when it also goes down later on. I really felt for it, and I felt on the floor with very emotional. This movie really doesn't hold back on certain stuff that I was surprised they got away with. And let's just say there's some stuff in this that I was surprised that it has to do involved with kids. And that's saying a lot because usually you don't, whenever it comes to stuff like that, you don't see it too much in a mainstream type of film these days. But man, Costner, like he didn't hold back on his brutality in this, because when it showed it, it really gave me the feels. And the score too, I got to really give it a kick out of, because it definitely had that vibe similar to. It definitely had kind of like a classic, violin type of score that I really enjoyed, that you would probably see in some like older westerns and stuff. Mixed in with some stuff that surprised enough, it sounds like a western type of version of Avatar's theme songs, if that makes sense. I mean that in a good way, where it gives you that kind of like a very type of emotional type of vibe that it goes for. It definitely had me on the verge of crying at points. The way that the movie is all unfolding with a lot of the setup and everything, it still had me very invested in where it was going, especially when we get toward the end and everything like that. Because the movie actually also ends with a teaser of the next movie coming out, and there's definitely some stuff that it sets itself up with, involving with the Apache and some other things that I also got to really appreciate the story as well, because it shows also both sides, where the Apache are doing it for their own type of purpose, and there's actually even a morality that I actually found myself very interested in on how it goes, showing that at least they have a code of honor that I appreciated that they have throughout the film, and so that was great. And then if I had to get into some of my cons, I will have to say that some of the pacing can be a little bit dragged at points at times. But it didn't really make it too bad where I was bored or anything. It just felt like, this is definitely a film that's going to be a lot more setup and things, because there's also some other plot points that they get into involved. Well, I'm just going to say with Jenna Malone's character that I felt like it could probably use a little bit more resolution. Hopefully it gets paid off in the future with. Because I felt like it did feel like it was kind of more ambiguous the way it played out with her character. And so I don't know where it's going to go. And then on top of that, there are certain humorous points in this film that do feel a little tone deaf at points, where it seems like it clashes with the tone of certain serious scenes that are trying to play out and everything, where some of them can be funny, but there are points where it does feel like it's a little too much for the actual tone that it's going for. And so there's that. I was kind of hoping that they were going to build up more with, because it does feel like with Costner's storyline, it's leading to somewhere big, but we could have used more purpose, like with this character, the way it plays out, because I do like the mystery vibe they give with them, but I do feel like there was some stuff that they could have really explored more with to kind of get us more of a feeling of what exactly he's doing and why he's going on this journey. And you could say the same thing with certain of these other characters they kind of introduce after a while, that you kind of question their purpose at times. And it felt like the movie could have really did some more things with some of the other characters they play into. And I think what they were trying to go for was, if this was maybe played out as more of a structure of a TV series, I could see them trying to do something like that. But with it being a 3-hour type of epic movie, it still didn't bother me too much, because, I think my favorite movie of all time is Magnolia, and a movie like that can still make it play out for 3 hours. But not trying to compare, but the difference in that one is that was a standalone film, and this is an ongoing series that they're trying to do. So I'm just saying that if you wanted to touch up some more of the writing to fill in some of the characters' backstories or motivations, that really could have been probably more that they could have really touched base on with at points. But I'm still curious to where this goes, and with that, I'm going to give the movie a compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. And so, for those of you who have also seen Horizon, an American Saga Chapter 1, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.